Good evening. My name is Peter Browne, and I am a curriculum specialist attached to your institution. Today, I am hosting this webinar to inform you of our intended curriculum innovation, which is termed ATIS. This innovation is to address the food security situation in Barbados, is supposed to promote healthy lifestyles, and to provide career opportunities for our young people. This will be done through the integration of agricultural science into the various disciplines of the school to foster sustainable living and entrepreneurship. The present situation of agriculture in Barbados is as follows. Barbados is importing over $700 million in food each year to feed its inhabitants. This is not acceptable. Over $88 million of these imports can be produced right here in our local market. The government has said that our import bill is too high, and there must be a structured effort to address this crisis. The Minister of Agriculture, in his wisdom, the Right Honorable in Delaware, is funding programs such as the Feed Initiative to reduce our food import bill by 25% over the next 2 years. An effort is also being made to increase the participation of our young persons in Barbados in agriculture at the technical level. And there's reasons for this. Many people are not enthused about working in agriculture, and it's hard to find workers to meet the demand. While agriculture is the 5th leading industry in the world, so we need your young persons in this industry at the technical level making their contribution to national development. Many of these imported foods are highly processed, full of sugar, salt, and fat, and they are becoming a staple in our local diets. This has led to an increase in NCDs in Barbados, such as hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and cancers. Our health services are overwhelmed as we spend large amounts of money and resources to handle this problem at the hospital. Barbados are reported in the research done by the University of West Indies in 2019 as being the unhealthiest population in the Caribbean. To remedy this, the government has placed taxes on the high consumption of sugary drinks, and they are trying to make changes in the canteens at secondary schools where they're trying to reduce the level of salt and fried foods on the menu. This is important as 1 in 3 children in our nation at present are suffering from obesity, and 8 of 10 deaths recorded every year is now due to NCDs. It's expected that by 2025, 100% of the deaths occurring outside of accidents will be due to NCDs. Youth unemployment in Barbados is very high. The rate for 15 to 24 years old persons is at 29.3%, while the national employment rate is 15.8%. It is understandable that many children in Barbados between the ages of 15 to 21 will be in school and at university, but these numbers have been obtained through a poll to see how many young people wanted work who were not in school, wanted work, and they wanted to see if they were able to get this work. We must create alternative career pathways through funding, training, and especially designed curriculums in primary and secondary schools based on agriculture, so that in a few years we should see young persons seeking employment in the agricultural sector, and they should have the skills, knowledge, and understanding to make a contribution to this agricultural sector. This can reduce our present 16% unemployment rate to under 10% in about 5 years. The two videos I will share now will give you a snapshot of our present crisis.
Good morning, all. I'm truly delighted to be here this morning as the CARICOM region prepares for the UN Food Security Summit in September. We have so many things we can talk about, but the reality is that our simple focus must be how to put food on the table of our people throughout this region, and how to ensure that we have a stockpile of food for the many crises that are now confronting us. We've already seen what this awful pandemic can do to the disruption of supplies and food globally. In addition, we are 4 days away from the beginning of the hurricane season, which is likely to imperil at least one of our nation states with respect to agricultural production, either through wind or indeed floods. What does this tell us all? That our goal of 25 by 2025 probably needs urgent modification. I trust and pray that our region will accept that we need to expedite the process of producing as much food regionally as we can, and that we need to come together accepting that the true bread baskets of the region will be Guyana, Suriname, and Belize, but that does not remove from us, the rest of us, the obligation of producing as much food as we can. There are some difficulties that we have to confront. The first and foremost is the potential normal access to cheaper food from outside of the region, and therefore the question as to how we treat to the whole issue of food security, allowing us to anchor our domestic policies and our trade policies, becomes absolutely critical. We cannot afford to only have the need to grow food when there's a crisis. Our farmers need certainty to be able to produce food year-round. It means that there will be some need for some level of protection because they simply cannot withstand the onslaught of cheaper prices from outside where they have the benefit of scale. Unless we confront this frontally, we will put at risk our own national security and the well-being of our citizens. The bottom line is our farmers can only produce consistently if they are given the platform and the environment within which to do so. At the same time, we have too few people who have been schooled in the rudiments of good farming practices and good agricultural practices. We do not have a strong enough research agenda.
On these videos, measures must be taken to find possible solutions to our present crisis. What are our possible solutions? We need to have more young people seeing agriculture as a viable career option. We need to expose more students to the myriad of career opportunities in agriculture. At the same time, we must allow students to appreciate how the various disciplines at school can be linked to careers in agriculture. The school must invest in incorporating a new approach to curriculum innovation and technology with an emphasis on agricultural production, agri-processing, food security, and promoting healthy lifestyles. One of the solutions that we can use to address this crisis is the 80s curriculum innovation. In this initiative, every person within the school community, parent, department, teacher, student, is a part of the change initiative to bring about the full adoption of 80s in the classroom. 80s is an agriculture integration initiative of the LSE School. It involves the integration of agricultural science into the various disciplines of the school to foster sustainable living and entrepreneurship. And we would do this by using a modular approach to implementing 80s from 4th to 6th form, first as a pilot, then as a whole school initiative once we work it out and we can implement it and adapt it appropriately in our classrooms. Each department will play a very important part in this initiative. We are expecting that the school should be able to increase its produce, its raw produce in agriculture, crop production, and animal husbandry. And from these products, we will be involved in creating value-added products through research and experimentation for sale in the community and wider Barbados. We will also have a branded product that we can partner with local businesses to produce the products for local and possibly the export market. I would like now to suggest the possible role of the departments at the school in this initiative. For example, the persons doing crop production and animal husbandry, the growing of crops and rare livestock on our 1.5 acre agricultural plot can find ways to improve the use of their products through technology, research, and innovations. We will also expect that science will be able to test the nutritional values of our products. They can find more biological pest control initiatives, and they can produce value-added products through research. And at the same time, the syllabus in science talks about promoting healthy lifestyles. The home economics, the teachers within the home economics can produce value-added products and culinary dishes for the produce and promote. And at the same time, in their syllabus, it asks them to promote healthy lifestyles. The students in business may produce business plans and marketing strategies for the products in local and possible external markets, while the students in art can create artwork for the products and produce attractive packaging and support our media drive through animations and ads with appropriate artwork. Our students in music, they can create jingles and musical ads for marketing again. And we would expect that the students in the foreign language department can translate the labels and ads and other necessary information that will be related to our products into French, Spanish, and even Chinese. Because if we can make artists produce products that can, once the products are good enough, they can almost go into any market in this world, because we're living right now in a global market, a global village. All markets are accessible if you have the right product. And we would expect students in the information technology to form part of the communication team for the products, producing brochures, using publishing software for digital and hard copy release of information. The intended institutional outcome of this initiative is for the students to become part of a thriving agricultural community, creating value-added products through technology, assisted agri-industries, agri-entrepreneurship, and sustainable job opportunities. We have to give our students this training. We have to give them an opportunity. We have to give our students this training, these skills, and develop these attitudes towards agriculture, that they can feel confident knowing that they can create a sustainable living out of the agri-industry. The environment is right for this initiative, taking into consideration ELI's 8 conditions to support implementation of change and innovation. The environment in which the innovation is introduced can play an equally important role in determining the change effort's success. Our present situation is high unemployment among youth, need to increase food production and agri-value-added products, ministerial support for agriculture. The nation is unhappy with the present status quo of its health, unemployment, and food security position. Barbadians are looking for the implementation of an innovation that is compatible with their felt needs and that can provide hope for our country. ATIS implementation is highly compatible with our institution as teachers have the knowledge and skills to use this innovation as they have deep experience with the CSET syllabus in their particular disciplines, but they will now interact with the ATIS innovation to sensitize students to the practical application of their discipline. In such a case, the time taken for teachers to understand the innovation and develop the abilities to adapt the innovation is expected to follow a sharp learning curve. And they will be actively involved in all aspects of the decision-making process and communication process with regards to the innovation. We would expect teachers to use the innovation and incorporate it into their classroom and be committed to its success. I also want to express to all staff here that our principal is on board and supportive of the innovation known as ATIS. To measure the successful implementation of ATIS into our institution at all levels, we must find a diagnostic tool that can measure how we are progressing with this intended change. Such a diagnostic tool can be the CBAM model by Hall and Horde 2016. We must remember that the school is a primary organization for change, and the concern-based adoption model, CBAM, can be used to assess and track the change process at the level of the individual adopters where success is ultimately determined. The concerns-based adoption model by Hall and Horde focuses on how the innovation is implemented, will be used to help management in its decision-making processes regarding the implementation and adoption of ATIS. This model can help the management team to understand the process of change with ATIS across our institution, how individuals respond to the change, this new curriculum innovation, and it will allow us to ensure that the correct actions are followed to help ensure the success of the change process. CBAM has three principal diagnostic dimensions. The innovation configuration map, which describes the innovation and serves as an exemplar to guide and focus staff efforts in the purpose and use of ATIS. It will allow management to examine the different ways in which teachers adopt the innovation to their unique situations in the classrooms. The stages of concern is a process where questionnaires, interviews, and other sources of data collection methods will be utilized to identify individual members' attitudes and beliefs towards the innovation. There is a need to understand the different reaction educators experience as they implement ATIS. The level of use interview tool will help management to know how well staff, both individually and collectively, are using the ATIS innovation. The behaviors teachers develop as they become more familiar and skilled in using the innovation must be measured. The CBAM has three principal diagnostics. Principal and the school administration, they are the change leaders and change managers of this ATIS innovation. They are responsible for integrating the appropriate human and natural resources that should be made available to effectively support the innovation and change. They must also support the success of the innovation through providing training, budgets, and giving timetabling so that students can get the opportunity to interact with the innovation. If students don't get the opportunity to interact with the innovation cannot be measured. We don't know if it will be successful. We must have children using this innovation in the classroom. As a team, we know communication is very important, and therefore the survival or success of this innovation is dependent on communication. A lack of communication leads to a lack of an awareness of what is happening. Therefore, we must use Rogers' model of change communication framework to examine the effects of all the components involved in the communication process on the rate of adoption. We must make sure that the channels do not have too much noise or too much interference. We need to get a clarity of the vision for ATIS across to all members of the school community so that they would know what is their role, what is our expectations of the use and integration of ATIS in our institution. Yes, there must also be feedback from the various expected adopters of the innovation to the principal and the management team so that we can address any issues before they become overwhelming. So communication also is will lead to the success of this intervention. Every person in this community must be in a position of knowledge. They must know what is happening. They must have access to the innovation. They must know how to use the innovation, and we must assist them with strategies to be able to implement this innovation within their classroom. The heads of departments are the champions for change in their particular discipline in both words and actions. They have to design the curriculum for the department by aligning the CSET objectives from their various disciplines with the relevant aspects of the agricultural curriculum innovation to be implemented, so that it would not be anything strange or too hard to use for the teachers in the department, because you're taking your general knowledge of the CSET syllabus and just using it in a more practical and direct way so that students can know and understand how the discipline can be used in the real world, but in this case, how it can be used in the agri-industries, agri-production, and to produce value-added products. The heads of departments must also make sure that they support their teachers with training. They must also help to gather the resources necessary, and they must give a clarity of direction so that they can have the successful adoption of the innovation in every classroom with their discipline. The head of departments must also monitor and evaluate the use of the innovation by teachers and students. This must be done so that we can determine what necessary measures can be put in place to increase the effective adoption and use of staff with this ATIS innovation. Teachers, using their qualities as designers, managers, evaluators, and researchers, and decision makers with respect to the content delivery and learning activities, they must interact with ATIS, and they must look at the goals of ATIS, and they must be able to translate aspects of ATIS to match with aspects of their CSET curriculum so that we can have a sensible transition of ATIS in the classroom. And this is done by teachers so they can address the goals, the needs, and interests of the learner by creating experiences from which the student can learn. Teachers must design, enrich, and modify the curriculum to match the learner's characteristic with a good degree of fidelity and alignment. The role of students in this innovation is simple. They must adopt to the new changes in the curriculum. They must prepare themselves for use of the innovation. They must experiment with it. They must engage with it. And they must utilize this change of direction with ATIS for their own personal development. They also need to realize that by interacting with ATIS, they are providing teachers with valuable information that can be used to improve the delivery and use of the ATIS innovation for future students. And as we can do this, we can make it better so that we can achieve our outcomes in a more systematic way. At present, we have a lot of external support for ATIS, the Agricultural Curricular Innovation at our institution. We have support from the Ministry of Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training. We have the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. They are willing to invest and help us with our innovations, along with the persons from the Barbados Entrepreneurship Federation. They're allowing us to take part in their $20 challenge. They're allowing us to take part in their agri-entrepreneurship. And they're providing training for teachers in how you can use business, the business aspect, or the business syllabus, and integrate it into the whole process of the agri-industries. We also have the TVET Council, because we don't just want the children to be interacting with ATIS without a given outcome. Yes, it's going to help them with this CSEC, because as they interact with their discipline in ATIS, they get to better understand the concepts of their discipline. But we would also like to provide some alternative certification through the TVET Council for our students in the 4th to 6th form who will be interacting with ATIS. How would we know if ATIS is a successful implementation? Well, it is based on our intending learning outcomes for the institution. We want to have graduates who can make better food and health choices, so therefore they can be actively involved in fighting the scourge of NCDs in Barbados. We need students who would have an appreciation for the importance of sustainable living through agriculture. We also should have students who will foster entrepreneurship, and we wanted to adopt an entrepreneurship mind frame. We want students as they come out of our school that they already have a business idea, and they're putting that in place. They're putting their ideas in place, and we want to create a sustainable business industry within the school where students have authentic learning experiences and skills transferable to the real world. If we can get this program up at the school, we can even offer internships for our students, because at the end of the school year, if you have the business going on with the school, students will still be needed to run the program in the summer. So if we have the business set up properly, students can come, students can work, students can be paid, while at the same time they are improving their skills. ATIS has the ability to help us to achieve all of the above. Let's make ATIS a living reality. I am thankful for your presence at this webinar, and I am available to answer any questions you may have about our curriculum innovation known as ATIS.